Folks, today I would like to talk to you about the dangers of not knowing the truth about yourself, not knowing the truth about what is called quote unquote God, and what is the relationship between you and God, and so on. First of all, let me talk a little bit about what is this truth that I'm referring to. If you have been watching my earlier videos, at least if you have watched part 1, part 2, part 3 of my experience, my direct experience about the kingdom of God, you would have probably recognized what I've been meaning to be the truth about yourself and about God. I said there are three divine lights which surround you. The white light gives you the feeling of you in yourself, in your body, in your mind. This is what Hindus call as Atma in their scriptures. And it is pure. It is independent of the various thoughts in your mind. And divine golden light is the principle of life. It gives you the life. Also, it is a principle of love. Thought cannot touch that. I've been talking about that for quite some time. It is also the principle of joy, the only joy that is independent of the opposite. That joy and that love do not have the opposite of hate, and so on. And also, I talked about the red light, which makes you to be ignorant by its influence on the five senses and as well as in your mind. It also the principle which frees you, which gives you freedom if you are willing. Most of you cannot experience all this truth yourself. You may ask why. Because, as I've been saying, you are strongly rooted, anchored in your mind. The feeling of you, which is called Atma, in your body is strongly attached to your thought and also the vision that the five senses gives you. And because of that, you commit the so-called sin. I will never call those acts as sin. I've been calling them as ignorance. You're acting out of ignorance. And you may not be able to easily, as I've been saying, experience the state beyond human mind. Let me tell you very, very clearly the kingdom of God is not an extension of your mind. As long as you are strongly rooted in your mind, as long as you are strongly attached to your thoughts, you can never understand the kingdom of God. Your attachment to your thoughts has to go, has to vanish. That has to vanish, at least temporarily, to experience the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, as I've been saying, is the mind, the mental state of the universal unknown God. It is a mind. but it's not the mind of an individual human being. And that mind is visible. You can experience that only when you remove your strong attachment to your thoughts. Now, let me tell you, how can you do that? How can you be free of your thoughts? How can you be free of this? What Hindus call the Maya, or the screen shown to you by your mind and the body. I talked at length about this in part 3 when I discussed about the power of the red light. But there are two ways in general you can realize the truth. And Hindus call this as God realization. That is, you can realize that you are a child of God, or you are the image of God, as Christians will put it. Typically, the Western mind does not encourage to realize that you are the image of God. Somehow they think that God is beyond, God is something supernatural thing, and it can never be understood, it cannot be realized. All that you have to do is to worship, and you have to believe in that. And if you believe in that, that's enough, and you will be saved. You have law in Western religions have a lot of such beliefs, and they are living within those beliefs. As long as you believe in something, you can only experience the result of those beliefs. You can never go beyond the beliefs. That is why Western mind does not recognize that there are some truths discovered in other religions too, the Eastern religions. Now, one way to realize this, as I said, is to reject everything that you know, and that will enable you, not guarantee, but it will enable you to experience the kingdom of God. You have to be extremely humble like a child, as Jesus Christ used to say, to experience the love, the real love of God can be experienced only when your mind temporarily vanishes. In other words, when your mind stops dominating yourself, the real you, what Hindus call as Atma, the you which is pure ray of white light. Now, you can perform various meditation techniques and other things as told by various yogis and prescribed in Hindu scriptures and so on. But as I've been saying, those techniques will take you only to the door to opening the kingdom of God, the door that opens to the kingdom of God so that you can experience it. But you cannot, those meditation techniques cannot take you or cannot open the door and then take you inside. What takes you inside and opens the door is an energy beyond human mind. For that to operate in you, those three divine lights to operate in you, you have to be extremely humble. You have to at least temporarily, humbly, really, seriously stop believing in things. You have to go beyond the belief. Till then, the door will never open. As I've been saying, it is not an extension of your mind. Being anchored in your mind, you can never ever experience the kingdom of God. In fact, one of the viewers of my English video has been arguing it is possible to experience the kingdom of God being at the level of human mind. And to him, there is nothing beyond human mind. But if you strongly believe in such things, you can never experience the kingdom of God. There is something beyond that also. And there is another way you can experience the kingdom of God without really seeing, experiencing various lights and so on, divine lights. By the way, as long as you are seeing a form of God, like for example Jesus or Shiva or Vishnu or what have you in Hindu scriptures or Buddha and so on, you cannot really experience. Let me repeat. As long as you are seeing the forms that you are seeing are not really a state of being beyond the human mind. Only within the human mind are all those forms like Shiva, Vishnu, or Jesus, and so on. So you have to really understand this very, very clearly. Till then, you cannot really reach beyond the human mind. You cannot let your thoughts to disappear so that you can experience the kingdom of God. The second way, as I've been saying, to realize God is to understand various suggestions and advices, if you want to call that I'm giving you, which you can find out whether those advices and suggestions make sense. For example, I've been saying that there is a difference between attachment and love. Attachment to your country, attachment to your race, attachment to your religion, and so on, so on. And the love of God that people experience currently and talk about is not really a love of God, love of it is an attachment to a God. As long as you reject the other people's worship, the forms of other people's gods, and if you claim that your God is the only God, that means you are attached to that form. You are not really loving that God. So I gave a lot of suggestions and advices in many videos discussing about the difference between the love, the real love of the golden light that Jesus taught, preached, died for, and attachment. If you understand those things, you will be able to live like the true image of God in this life, even without experiencing or going beyond the human mind and experiencing the kingdom of God. And also, I've been talking about the fact that you are pure. The feeling of you is independent of your body and independent of your thoughts. For example, when you sleep and dream, you have no access or you are not experiencing your bodily senses. That should give you a hint that you are independent of your five senses and the world created, the world projected and shown to you by the five senses. And also, when you go to deep sleep, you are not seeing or experiencing a dream. In other words, the various drama or the the world created by your mind. That should give you a hint that you are really independent of your um, thoughts in your mind. They cannot prove you without doubt, but that they should give you some hint that you are independent of your thoughts. As long as you are holding on to your thoughts, actually, these thoughts are just like clouds. When you go to a mountain, tall mountain, sometimes the low-lying cloud passes you. The various thoughts are exactly like that. They come and go. As long as you don't hold on to your thoughts, they will go and disappear. The reason why those thoughts come and haunt you again and again, rule over you, is because you are strongly attached to some of your thoughts, some of your beliefs. If you let them go in due course, they will not be able to rule you. In fact, you should rule the thoughts. You should select which thoughts make sense and which thoughts don't make sense and go by that. Really, the human mind was created so that you don't have to learn, for example, how to walk every time or how to do certain jobs, learning from the beginning or from the root every time. So the mind is supposed to store, for example, where you are living, how to go from one place to another place without learning every time. But you are using those minds to store your beliefs, and the beliefs dominate you. That's the reason why human beings are in general suffering. And when I mentioned about the suffering, one of the English viewers said that, no, I don't suffer. You may not suffer without money. You may not suffer without the love of your family, because you may be fortunate enough to have enough money and also a good family, but you will be suffering when you grow old because of death, because of fear of death, fear of the unknown. That's one thing that every human being will go through. But most of the folks solve that problem or think that they solve the problem by thinking that they can believe in their own version of God, and that God will take them to heaven and so on. Those who have died unfortunately cannot come back and talk to you. Actually, what happens is that no God will come and clear your fear of death. You will experience the fear of death because it's the totally unknown thing when you die. But if you understand the nature of the mind, then when you die, those thoughts will not haunt you. I talked about what happens when you die in my earlier video called You Are Forever. So please watch them, and if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll clear. And I'm not asking you to believe in what I have found in the kingdom of God. That cannot be verified by you. You cannot really understand that unless you reach that state. But you can understand what I have been what I've been taking, talking, how to live, how to love other people, etc. In for listening to this, I'm not charging you any money. I'm not asking you consultation money, or I'm not asking you to join me in a retreat and pay me money. I'm not asking you to put me in pedestal and worship me. I'm not asking you to praise me. All that I'm asking it is just listen to what I've been saying and see whether there is any truth in what I've been saying. So that's what I want to talk to you folks. If you have any question, let me know and I'll clear them. Until I talk to you through another video, be well and be happy, and that is your right. Your right. You have every right to be happy, joyful, loving, and experience the joy of being the image, the true image of God. Talk to you soon, folks.